Have you ever tuned in, primed for an explosive sit-down with one of the world's biggest pop stars, only to have the feed cut before a single viewer hears a word? Imagine your TV blinking to black just as the questions turn from polite to piercing. Tonight's story is exactly that, an unaired encounter between Ariana Grande and Anderson Cooper, so charged with drama that the network pulled the plug. What you're about to read is the full unfiltered account of their off-air showdown, raw, relentless, and never meant for public consumption. The studio lights gleamed overhead, casting twin pools of illumination on a simple walnut table flanked by two sleek chairs. A crimson RHE sign glowed between them, a promise of conversation that would never air. Cameras positioned to capture every angle remained live to the hard drives, but the broadcast had been nixed at the 11th hour. Behind the monitors, producers exchanged terse whispers. Somewhere in a control room, an executive pulled the final lever. "Don't put it on the air." The order had come. Too risky. Ariana Grande sat poised on one side, her signature high ponytail brushing the back of her sequin jacket. She inhaled slowly, the echo of her own heartbeat filling her ears. Across the table, Anderson Cooper adjusted the cuffs of his navy suit, pen and notepad at the ready. His calm, steely gaze met hers, as if daring her to show an inch of weakness. Neither spoke for the first 10 seconds, long enough to make the silence thrum with anticipation. Cooper cleared his throat. "Ariana," he began, voice even, "we're here tonight for an interview that was supposed to go live, but network concerns about the intensity of our conversation led to it being pulled. No viewers will ever hear this, unless we make it count right now. Let's start at the top. Last week, rumors swirled of tension on your Sweetener tour. Some insiders say you walked off stage mid-set. What really happened?" Ariana's jaw tightened. Her mind flickered back to the midnight stage in Chicago, the roar of 15,000 fans, fog machines swirling at her feet, backup dancers frozen in place as she abandoned the mic stand. She'd felt a stabbing pain in her chest, the weight of a lyric that suddenly felt painfully raw. She'd signaled to her band, then left the stage, her heart pounding louder than the kick drum. "I left the set," she said softly, "because I couldn't perform under those circumstances." Cooper's eyebrows rose. "Circumstances?" She nodded, eyes distant. "Pressure. Pressure. I didn't expect. The show demanded perfection, but my heart was somewhere else. I had to walk away rather than fake an emotion I didn't feel." A single camera whirred. For a fleeting moment the studio seemed to tilt. Ariana inhaled again, steeling herself. "I'm grateful for every fan who shows up," she said slowly, "but I have to stay true to the art, to the message. If I can't sing it from an honest place, I might as well not sing." Anderson nodded, jotting a note. "Honesty," he repeated, "is your guiding principle, yet critics accuse you of being guarded off stage, of maintaining a public veneer that conceals deeper struggles. How do you reconcile that?" Ariana's gaze sharpened. She thought of the manicured headlines, Ariana's secret breakdowns, and the gossip column murmurs about therapy sessions. Inside, she had wrestled with anxiety for years. She'd learned to compartmentalize. On stage, she was invincible. Off stage, she was vulnerable. Now, under the derelict glow of the unaired studio, she had a choice: deflect or reveal. She chose reveal. "I struggle," she said quietly. "I've fought panic attacks, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, but I see those struggles as part of the story I want to tell. If my fans know I'm human, maybe it helps them face their own battles." Cooper's pen paused mid-stroke. He regarded her with a mixture of respect and professional curiosity. "You once said your music is therapy. Your therapy is music. Yet private messages leaked last month suggested you're at odds with your record label over creative control. They want radio hits. You want soul-searching ballads. Was that a conflict you regret airing?" Ariana inhaled, feeling the tension coalesce in her chest. She remembered that leak vividly, a note she'd meant for her management, accidentally forwarded to an external PR consultant. Overnight, tabloids blasted headlines, "Ariana versus label." She'd spent days attempting damage control. Now, stripped of broadcast safety nets, she dared to speak again. "I stand by my art," she said. "If I don't push for songs that resonate with my truth, I'm cheating both myself and my fans." Yes, it caused a stir, but some noise is necessary for progress. A flicker of admiration crossed Anderson's face. He leaned forward, voice soft but insistent. "You mentioned truth, both on a personal and professional level. Let's talk about your activism. You've been a vocal advocate for mental health initiatives and social justice, yet some critics say you've kept key partnerships under wraps. Why the secrecy?" Ariana felt a familiar pang of defensiveness. She had quietly donated millions to mental health charities, often matching fan contributions. She'd collaborated with nonprofits, traveling under the radar to witness programs firsthand. Her team had deliberately avoided press coverage, fearing attention would distort the mission. Under the stark studio lights, she realized she could finally share context. "My work isn't a branding exercise," she said, voice tinged with conviction. "It's about impact. If I publicize every move, the work loses authenticity. I want the focus on the cause, not the celebrity." Anderson's gaze sharpened. Impact versus image, a recurring theme, but when the off-air audio of your prep session leaked, it contained harsh critiques of fellow artists and blunt frustration with the industry. How do you respond to accusations that you let pressure turn into bitterness? Ariana closed her eyes for a heartbeat, conjuring the memory of that sting, her home studio, headphones blasting as a recording device captured her expletive-laced tirade about watered-down pop formulas. She'd felt exposed, humiliated. Now in that silent arena, she squared her shoulders. "Pressure makes me visceral," she said. "I vent because I care so deeply. My bar is set high for myself and for everyone I work with." That passion can look like bitterness, but it's really love for the craft. Anderson sat back, absorbing her candor. The camera's red lights pulsed, marking each revelation in the archive. He cleared his throat and asked the question that hovered in every headline. "You've owned your struggles publicly before. What's the one thing you've never shared? Something that keeps you up at night, even after a sold-out show?" Ariana's pupils contracted as she considered her answer. Inside she carried a fear that late nights in dressing rooms with empty champagne bottles couldn't drown, the fear that one day her voice would fail her. She inhaled, letting vulnerability seep into her tone. "I worry," she said softly, "that I'll lose my voice, literally, physically, emotionally. It's why every performance feels like it could be my last. It drives me to give everything, but it also terrifies me that I can't." Silence rippled through the silent studio. Anderson's expression softened into something almost tender. "That vulnerability," he said, "is a gift to your fans. It turns every note into a testament." He paused, signaling an unease that even he couldn't mask. "But networks fear vulnerability. They fear unpredictability. That's why this," he gestured to the silent cameras, "will never air." Ariana nodded gravely. "I get it. They want safe soundbites, not real conversations." She paused, then smiled wryly. "But safe never made history." Cooper's lips curved in a rare, genuine smile. "History belongs to the bold. Thank you for this raw honesty." She inclined her head, the ponytail swaying. "And thank you for giving me a reason to speak it." They sat in the hush, the red rec sign the only witness to their exchange. The gala's distant roar, that world beyond the studio, felt inconsequential. Here, in the sealed vault of their unaired interview, two titans had laid down their truths, wielding questions and answers like blades. And though no viewer would ever see the live feed, the echoes of their words would reverberate beyond any broadcast. In the weeks that followed, industry rumors swirled about that fateful session. Interns traded summaries, producers debated creating off-air segments to encourage candor, journalism schools assigned the transcript as required reading. A select few executives whispered that the tape was too powerful, too unscripted for public consumption. Yet in moments of hush, someone, perhaps a late-night janitor, perhaps a curious archivist, would press play and be riveted all over again. For Ariana Grande, the experience crystallized her resolve to keep pushing for artistry over appeasement, authenticity over algorithm. She returned to the Sweetener tour with renewed fire, pouring every ounce of emotion into every lyric. And offstage she continued her quiet philanthropy with even greater zeal, driven by the knowledge that her voice could shine a light on hidden battles. Anderson Cooper, meanwhile, pondered the boundaries of broadcast journalism. He championed a new initiative, Beyond the Airwaves, a series of private interviews offering unguarded dialogue, released in podcast form with participant consent. He credited Ariana's courage that night as the inspiration, proof that even the biggest stars valued truth above all else. Though the cameras never rolled for public eyes, the legend of the unaired Ariana Grande Anderson Cooper interview lived on. In locked vaults, inside hushed conference rooms, and across whispered water-cooler talks, their off-air clash became a symbol that the rawest, most transformative conversations often happen when nobody's watching. And in that revelation lies the ultimate drama, where silence speaks louder than any broadcast ever could. In the months that followed, the myth of the unaired Ariana Grande Anderson Cooper session grew into legend. Industry veterans spoke of its power in hushed tones. Up-and-coming journalists pored over redacted transcripts, seeking clues to those cutting-edge moments. A handful of trusted insiders saw fragments of the tape, The tremor in Ariana's voice when confessing her greatest fear, the rare crack in Anderson's professional armor, and described it as nothing short of revelatory. Ariana herself found unexpected growth in that hidden dialogue. At her next press junket, she referenced her fear of losing her voice, connecting candidly with reporters in a way that felt less like damage control and more like an invitation to authenticity. Fans responded en masse, sharing personal stories of their own battles with vulnerability and praising her bravery. Behind the scenes, her team quietly celebrated new partnerships with mental health organizations, groups emboldened by Ariana's willingness to speak unfiltered truths. For Cooper, the off-air encounter became a catalyst for reinvention. He pitched Beyond the Airwaves, a podcast series modeled on that very exchange, unedited, long-form conversations with public figures willing to explore raw emotions and unvarnished perspectives. The pilot episode, recorded under similar no-broadcast constraints, featured a Nobel laureate discussing the loneliness of achievement. It debuted to critical acclaim, hailed as journalism's next frontier. Even the network brass eventually softened their stance. Facing mounting internal and external pressure, they released an officially sanctioned director's cut of the interview, stripped of sensationalism but preserving its most impactful moments. It streamed exclusively on the network's digital platform, cementing its status as both a cultural touchstone and a blueprint for future off-air candor. And so the legend lived on, a reminder that the most powerful stories often unfold in silence, and that true connection sometimes demands stepping beyond the glare of public scrutiny. In that locked studio, Ariana and Anderson had unintentionally rewritten the rules, and in doing so, illuminated a new path for authenticity in media.